the Sim Racers Performance Guide, your guide to race setup, strategy, driver performance. Dive in deep, learn about suspension, aero, braking, drivetrain, with a 77-page manual packed full of hours of video tutorials as well.
Hello, I'm Jack Nichols and welcome to
Who's going to break Smith's world title?
These two go.
Eoin is going to do it. His first victory.
The World Championship is done. What a race it's been.
Hello everybody and welcome to Silverstone for the start of the second half of the season in the Formula SimRacing World Championship of 2026. Over the previous 5 rounds, starting at the end of March in Australia, we've had 4 different winners in this championship, all of whom have the potential of leaving Silverstone tonight with the championship lead, along with even Loic Meunier as well, who hasn't won yet, but is still in amongst the top contenders. It's a wide open World Championship this season. It's an excitingly close one as well. There you can see the current championship standings. Defending champion Mark Zeuuw currently in 3rd place after getting into some good form with a win last time out. Jan Granqvist and Alex Zeuuw just in front of him. Jonas Braksop finally getting a race victory in the World Championship. Well, he's got a couple to his name now. And he's in 4th place. Loic Meunier, the top 5. Petter Burlak even in the top 6 has a chance to at least get towards the championship lead here tonight, potentially with a victory if he were to roll back the years potentially and take that one. We'll wait and see over the course of the 52 laps of tonight's round. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, in commentary with you. David O'Reilly's alongside me, talking all things World Championship, of course, and indeed British Grand Prix here for 2026. Good to be alongside you, David. It's been a great first half of the season. I'm struggling to remember a more wide open season, although I'd have a feeling I said something similar maybe last year when we had a whole new set of names towards the top, and eventually Mark Zeuuw came to the top and he got home a little bit comfortably in the point standings, to be honest. Doesn't feel like that's going to happen this time round. As I say, 4 different drivers with race victories over the course of the first 5 rounds. It's not bad going, as far as a start to 2026 is concerned.
Yeah, it's incredible, and to think we've only had 5 races, and yet there's 125 points left on the table, and the top 6 not separated by much. And I'm glad you mentioned Loic Meunier, because he's come second twice, and including those, he's had 3 podiums. So a lot of quality at the front. Alex Zeuuw bolted out of the start, really showing some incredible form. But I think Mark Schluter has shown signs of lifting to the occasion in his attempt to defend his World Championship. And of course, he won last time out in Canada, which was an absolute thriller. And any members of the audience that haven't seen that, I highly recommend, even if you catch the last 20 minutes of Canada, it was absolutely spellbinding. So if Mark does manage to defend his title, which he won last year, he will join only 4 other drivers in the history of Formula Sim Racing, and this is year 26 of FSR. Only 4 drivers have managed to grab the title more than once, so it'll be pretty monumental if Mark can do it. And I know he's certainly putting in the effort. And right, Silverstone, sorry, go ahead.
So as well, sorry, I didn't really have anything else to add, but yeah.
All I was going to say was it's going to be interesting tonight, because we've come from 2 tracks that were very high speed, very low downforce, low tyre wear, and we hardly saw the hard tyre, to a track here at Silverstone with a lot of G, a lot of wing, a lot of tyre wear with very high G corners, long duration high G corners, and only a 19-second pit lane transit. So the undercut will be massive, and it won't surprise me if we see some 3-stop action. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see the race unfold. And just to let the public know that we are running live real-world weather. So if the weather changes in Silverstone, it changes here in the server. And we're running rFactor 2 because it is still the ultimate simulation for domestic consumers of open wheelers. I mean, Le Mans Unlimited, Le Mans Ultimate is the game of on everyone's mouth at the moment, but this is the same game engine and essentially a very similar product, just without some of the bells and whistles. So if you want to race open wheelers and if you want to race the best drivers in the world, this is where you come to FSR.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the cloudy conditions, but any of you watching from the UK tonight will know that it is very warm. We're just at the beginning of a heat wave. Thank God we're not racing in the middle of next week, otherwise everybody will be burning alive. But as we all will be. But it is very hot. It's quite hot, very, very humid, and very cloudy. Weirdly, it's very strange. Almost sort of tropical conditions. Feels like it's going to bucket down with rain at all times. It's not. That's not on the forecast, but it's those sorts of conditions, those sorts of humid, warm, cloudy conditions that make you feel, should I have an umbrella?
Here in Wales, they call that sort of weather close.
It's a bit odd, really, but anyway, it isn't going to rain, rest assured, and it is going to stay warm, but it should be a good race. As you mentioned, this track couldn't be further different, really, from, I would say, the last three tracks. Really, I mean, we were at the Japanese Grand Prix just at the start of April this year. That's nearly 3 months ago now already, but since then we've had the Bahrain Grand Prix won by Jonas Braksuk, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku won by Jan Granqvist, and the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal won by Mark Schluter. So 2 street circuits in a row indeed, as well as the fact that those circuits are just so different. You know, lots of high-speed corners around here, as you mentioned, and as I say, the track temperature surely isn't going to be helping with that free-stop scenario that you were talking about there, and the fact that we do cut in that the inside for that final corner there at this racetrack surely is going to open us up to even more pit stops than there otherwise might be as well. Surely it feels to me like all of the stars are aligning here. The warm conditions, the high-speed corners, the short run through pit lane because you can cut the last corner. All of those conditions feel like it's trending towards a stop with more pit stops than less.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and it's deceptive. It's going to be interesting to see who's done their homework, because from the cockpit you see your lap time and you think that's okay. I'm still doing 31s. My hard tyres might be 14, 15, 16 laps old. But unless you've done the homework and you've pitted and you've tried on a new set of, the clouds have disappeared. We've just advanced the session to qualifying, and we have a lot less cloud cover, which is going to please a few people because not everyone was loving the cloud cover. Essentially what I'm getting at is that fuel effect really conceals a lot of the tyre deg. So you might be doing consistent lap times, but you're not aware that if you put on a new set of tyres, you're probably going to be going 1.8 seconds quicker. And that's not a lot of laps to make up a 19-second pit stop. So, yeah, it's the tyres take a pounding, but you've got to do your homework to know what's the optimum time to pit.
Yeah, indeed. We'll see how that develops over the course of the day. I've just gone back to last year's race just to see. I mean, you can't really compare year to year, to be honest. It doesn't make too much parallels, but just for some reference, Mark Schluter won the race last year at the British Grand Prix by just under a second in front of Jonas Braksuk. It was an exciting finish. Braksuk made 3 stops on the day. Schluter made 2. Braksuk went on for a final stint of softs right to the end, a final burst of softs for 12 laps to the end of that race, and he was chasing down and down and down and down, and in the end he came up 9/10 of a second short. It's one of those races you got the feeling if it was maybe a lap or 2 longer, then maybe the result would have been different. But as it was, Mark Schluter got home, and Jonas Braksuk was able to get into second place, and Patrick Hanko finished in 3rd position in that race. And that, to date, is one of his 5 podiums that we've seen him get in the Formula SimRacing World Championship, because he had a very successful end to the season, second half of the season in 2025, as he got rather close to Mark, or the closest that anybody else got to Mark Schluter in those championship standings over the course of the 10-race season. Well, as we've already spoken about, in this season, the championship standings are still very, very close indeed, and we're underway for qualifying in the second half of the season for the first time. Jonas Brakstok, who's been so consistently brilliant in qualifying in the Formula SimRacing World Championship down the history, 6 pole positions to his name for a long time. He hadn't got his race win to go along with it. Now he has done, and maybe they're going to be like buses and more than one come along at once. He's set for the first time in the first sector as this first qualifying session in the second half of the season gets underway.
Janos has definitely been one of the stars of the first half of the season, and right in the hunt. There's kind of been 6 that have left a bit of a clean set of heels to the next people along. The guy who's most likely to be able to challenge if he had a bit of decent luck is Lucas Murno, because Lucas is one of the few drivers outside that top 6 who has some 6th place finishes to his name. So he's a very good driver, but he's just been involved in a couple of little incidents, not usually his fault.
Well, indeed, that's sometimes the way in these seasons. That's the Zeuuw going fastest so far through these first 2 sectors, but Jonas Brakstok is going to be the first one to set the benchmark here. Up towards the start-finish line we go, and what is the time going to be? It's a 25.4 from Brakstok. That is already faster than last year, as expected. How much quicker can Alex Zeuuw go, though, with that incredible first half of the lap here? He is going to go to the top, and comfortably as well, at 24.9, the only 24 in this session so far. What a time that is from Alex Zeuuw, and nobody's getting near that at the moment as these first times come in. Everybody going to the pit lane in between their lap times here. It's a relatively short racetrack, and so they are able to do this all within a 10-minute session. Everybody one out lap, one flying lap, and then return straight back to pit lane and go again. They're going to have a chance to do that on 3 occasions. Here's Luc Meunier, who's in and around those championship contenders there in 5th place at the moment. 3 podiums to his name, as you mentioned, and no faster than Alex Zeuuw, but at the moment he's coming forward to set his benchmark. Even getting to 2nd at the moment would be impressive in this scenario.
I'm just looking for Mark Schluter on this list of drivers. Here we are. Sorry, pardon me. I was a bit worried we hadn't seen Mark. He's got 2 laps in, but he must have abandoned his lap.
And Meunier does get to 2nd, so that's a decent time from Luc Meunier, 2.5 tenths of a second behind Zeuuw. Yeah, Mark Schluter on a bit of a different one to everybody else. As I say, must have abandoned his first lap of the day. Here is that's a bit of a jump over the curbs, and straight back to pit lane for Saba Elikas, who is still rooted to the bottom of the standings at the moment. Mark Schluter is out there, and did go all right actually in the first sector. Was faster than Jonas Brakstok in the first sector when he started his previous lap, and it's a purple first sector here as well. So can he get this lap together is the real question, because he clearly has got the, at least in the first sector, he's got the speed in that car.
Yes, well, certainly if the practice session's anything to go by, Alex was doing about a 25 flat, and then Mark was getting very, very close. So he's certainly going to push him.
Through Maggots and Beckett's scarily quick through here. And what's the middle sector time going to be? Just a personal, well, obviously a personal best, because he's only got no time on the board. Through Stowe Corner. Another incredibly high-speed corner, and it really does come to an abrupt end through the final chicane here. What is the time going to be for Mark Schluter? First time round. He's looking good so far, and he's going to go to 2nd within 2 tenths of Alex Zeuuw. So nobody able to get quite into the 24s like Alex Zeuuw has, but that was better from Schluter. It's also better from Jonas Brakstok. No purple sectors here, but personal best sectors coming in right now for Jonas Brakstok. He's coming through the final turn, and Brakstok is going to go a little bit quicker, but he stays in 4th position. So that's 4 drivers covered by less than 3 tenths of a second. Not bad at a circuit like Silverstone.
Well, absolutely. It's a long track, It's only a few hundred metres shorter than Spa, and with a lot of apexes, big commitment apexes to get right. So it's not a sort of coldly calculating lap. It is an absolute shoulder to the wall kind of lap.
Remarkable that we've got a set of drivers here so close despite all that. Alex Zeuuw did go a bit quicker in that first sector, by the way, that time, but he abandoned that lap time. Matt Tucson is going to be the next up towards the line here. 2 personal bests from him, but it's going to need a lot of a gain here to get past George Zargianis for 8th position. What's the time going to be for Tucson? It's a slight improvement, but no gain on positions. Can Sava Elikas now finally get a time on the board, I wonder, as he comes out? And now, by the way, have a look at that at the top of your screen. Alex Zeuuw's come out for the final run of his session on medium tyres. I can't say that was on my bingo card for this week.
No, he might have found that the softs were just overheating by the end of the lap. The soft tyre feels very, very fragile here, and I'll be surprised if we see a soft tyre during the race, which I guess that doesn't take a rocket scientist to make that statement. Now, is Alex on an outlap or a hot lap?
I think he's on an outlap at the moment.
Okay.
No sectors coming through just yet. But yeah, maybe he has decided that. Do you think that's just because of this circuit, or is it because of the temperatures that we're seeing on this circuit here tonight? For nearly 47 degrees Celsius right now. Yeah,
47 track temperature, and the softs can really start to feel a bit gooey if you're pushing them super hard. But let's see what he does now. By the way, did you watch any of the Le Mans, the real-life Le Mans
watched some of it,
recently?
Yeah.
Well, we had an alumni, a Formula Sim Racing alumni in the hypercar class. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Stoffel Van Dorn was a regular competitor here with us in FSR in the early 2010s when he was racing Formula Renault 3.5, and obviously went on to be a Formula 1 driver with McLaren. But it warmed my heart to see a Formula Sim Racing alumni on the grid in a hypercar at Le Mans real life. That was a nice moment.
I've forgotten he was here all the way back in the day, over 10 years ago now. But yeah, it's gone on to do good things in the real world since, including last weekend, as you say, at Le Mans. Well, this session is this is a bizarre sight, by the way. I can't quite get over this. Alex Zeuuw is not going any quicker in the first sector, but are those gains going to be made in the final sector, I wonder? Or does he believe that maybe he couldn't have gone any faster on the soft tyres anyway, so he might as well give it a go on the medium tyres. Jens Braxtor's going to be over the line first, though. He's set 2 personal best sectors here, and he's looking at least to move on to the front row with this lap time. Can he get ahead of Laho and take a surprise pole position here, Jens Braxtor? He goes over the line, and it is the front row, but it is not better than Alex Laho at the moment. He's gone fantastically well once again here, but it's only a front row start. Murnau is also going quickly. Can the teammates really mob the front here? As Murnau comes over the line, he can't improve in the end. The lap time just getting away from him right in the very final sector. Alex Laho's not going any quicker on these medium tyres at the moment, unless there's some real gains to be made in the final sector, and maybe there are, considering his motivations for going onto these medium tyres at this stage in the session. It's his final time round, and well, it looks like he's going to make this pole position his anyway, but he goes over the line. Oh dear, that's 29.7. That looked more like a practice lap, to be honest, rather than a qualifying lap. Over the line for some of the others. It doesn't look like we're going to see many more improvements, and it looks like Alex Zeuuw is going to take pole position here tonight for the British Grand Prix in the Formula Sim Racing World Championship. His second pole position in the history of the World Championship, and it's by just under 0.2 of a second. You spoke about a top 6 getting away in the standings a little bit. Well, at the moment, I think in this race, in this qualifying session, we're seeing a top 4 really making themselves sort of, or at least getting away from the others a little bit. Let's see Schluter here over the line first of all, though, before we declare that officially. He gets close, within a tenth, but not quite.
Back on the front row. He's jumped Janos, which is probably a big deal for him, giving him the opportunity to start front row alongside his main rival for the title this season, Alex Zeuuw.
And anything can happen when you're on the front row alongside there, so it's going to be a very interesting start as Luke Monier comes over the start-finish line and completes his session as well, and therefore completes qualifying as well. Now, Alex Zeuuw's actually in the waiting room at the moment. Have we got a couple of minutes, David, to bring him in for a quick chat before the race starts?
Yes, certainly. If you do that, I've got to go and do some race direction duties.
Okay.
But by all means, do you need me to pull him in, or have you got the ability to pull him in?
I've got him. So, yeah,
Okay.
Cool.
We'll
do. Actually, I'll just go through the standings there. We'll bring in Alex Zeuuw for a quick chat. He's taken the pole here for the British Grand Prix tonight by 89 thousandths of a second in front of Mark Schluter. Janis Brakshock third this time around with Luke Meunier fourth. Then a bit of a gap back to Lucas Murno, who will try and help his teammate Brakshock, I would imagine, from fifth position. Christian Pasquale is in sixth place. Nando Marsa seventh, then in front of George Argianis. He's in between the G Invictus Motorsport drivers, as Matt Tewson is behind Giannis. Marsa in front. Saba Elikas, who took a while to get the time in, is rounding out the top 10. Outside the top 10, Amin Susi is 11th ahead of Juho Soponen. William Snowden, 13th place ahead of David Stefan. And Julian Reimsovitz is rounding out the field. The 15 drivers who are here for the British Grand Prix here tonight. Well, Alex Zeuuw has disappeared from the waiting room. So we'll just instead bring in our other commentator for tonight, Eoin Harmon, who joins us now as well. Eoin, welcome in. Good to have you with us for the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone tonight. It's a good start for Alex Zeuuw, the championship leader, but let's just go back to the very beginning of this broadcast. We started talking about the championship standings and just how close this season has been so far, how unpredictable it has been so far. There's definitely a top six that have defined themselves, but all six of them could be in, at the very least, the tied championship lead at the end of tonight. Now, Petter Berlak isn't here, so won't be able to, but you get the point. It is very, very close and very open, really, this championship so far in 2026.
Absolutely, Ewan. Thanks very much to yourself and David and Remco for letting me in. So, yeah, the championship really is on a knife edge now. Alex managed to reduce the damage when Schluter got that incredible victory at the Canadian Grand Prix. But of course, yeah, as you have explained, so many drivers are within that critical 25-point barrier. So if they can start to gain momentum in the second half of the season, it could go all the way to the Interlagos finale, and that is one that you won't want to miss.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be a very exciting end to the season at Interlagos. That, by the way, is on the 20th of September, a little bit later on in this season. What do you think we're going to see here at Silverstone tonight? As you may well be aware as well, it's exceedingly hot conditions in the UK at the moment, or quite hot anyway. 47 degrees track temperature we just had through that qualifying session, and I was talking to David about the sort of high speed, high load nature of these turns anyway. This is going to surely be a race where the tyres are going to take an absolute beating over the course of this race.
Well, you better believe it. Yeah, I know the Canadian Grand Prix can be a bit gentle on tyres, but as David alluded to, the brakes we punished. But today, it really is a case of everything we punished in searing conditions across Europe. I know I'm feeling it just as much as anybody in the UK, and certainly in continental Europe, it's just a sweltering Sunday evening. So yeah, around the sweepers of the Silverstone venue, it really will punish all of our World Championship drivers and cars to their absolute limits. So the strategy is going to be wide open.
Yeah, indeed. Last year, this race was won by a two-stop strategy from Mark Schluter, but only by 9/10 of a second in front of Janis Brakshock, who was on the three-stop. And I know that years aren't particularly comparable among themselves, but Janis Brakshock was the only one inside the top 12 last year to go onto the soft tyres. It seems, speaking to David, that is going to be very much the norm again here, i.e. we're very unlikely to see soft tyre runners over the course of this race. It's going to be all about the mediums and the hard compound tyres, but we may well see an increased amount of pit stops given the lack of time that you lose making a pit stop here at Silverstone, given the fact you get to cut the inside of the final corner. Just reading in YouTube chat at the moment, I'm not sure whether this person actually knows or just speculating, but it did look like Alex Zeuuw was doing race runs towards the end of that qualifying session there. I don't know if you saw, but he was running on the medium tyres for his last attempt of the day, and that is unusual to see, isn't it? We were speculating, myself and David, whether that was because the soft tyres were wearing away even by the end of one full push lap, whether in that final sector they were just sort of becoming mush really and not really performing through the final chicane. But actually maybe he was just doing a little bit of a race run there and practicing for this 52 lap race. Seems very, very confident, although he's, championship leader at the moment. Hasn't won since the second round of the season at the Japanese Grand Prix and has been reeled in recent weeks by the likes of Jan Granqvist, who starts the day only 8 points behind, although Granqvist isn't here at the moment in this session. It's a good place for Alex Zeuuw to be in, though, taking the pole position there and being so confident that he was going to hold on to that pole position as well.
Yeah, I know from past experience watching Alex from the commentary booth, he can sometimes just get the first lap and he feel a bit disappointed. He wants to make amends. So I think tonight is a case where he got the first lap absolutely spot on, and then he saw no real genuine competition to the pole. I know it's still very close, but yeah, I think it was a case of he had the pole. I just wanted to experience some medium tire running, as that seemed to be the case. So yeah, I know without a doubt to hold on to that pole position would be a whole different matter. So he needs to have all of his bases covered. He's going to make sure he's back on top by the end of tonight. Still on top.
Oh, indeed, still on top of the championship. I suppose on the top step of the podium, which he hasn't been for a few weeks now. It's the Japanese Grand Prix on the 5th of April, nearly 3 months ago. So it's all shaping up to be an exciting British Grand Prix this season once again. And when the session advances and we'll get into the race session, we'll let you know. David O'Reilly's just in with the drivers at the moment, doing the final bits of race control preparation. Here's the schedule over the course of the season. By the way, we'll be back. We will be back with you, I should say, on the 12th of July in Belgium. That's at Spa, of course, for one of the most iconic Grand Prix of any season. Italy will be the 2nd of August in there as well. That will be round number 8 of this championship. That's at Monza, by the way. And then Singapore, the penultimate round of the season, 30th of August, and that Interlagos finale on the 20th of September. This Pro Championship racing will be with you every week or every round as well. Just before the World Championship gets underway, we've already had the British Grand Prix earlier on today, and yesterday Lahtinen was able to take the victory there. 3rd victory in a row for the Finn, and he's been able to take the championship lead away from Cedric Bill as a result of that victory earlier this afternoon. So those two are only 1 point apart going into the final 4 rounds of the season. And Lahtinen on a run of 3 race victories in a row. There's a huge gap back to the rest of the field in the Pro Championship. They're happening on Sunday afternoons, just before us here on a Sunday evening here in the World Championship. Let's say that race session just around the corner in just a few moments' time, but looks like we do have a couple of drivers who will certainly, well, I guess next year now, but certainly in the future will be eager and indeed competitive, competing in the Formula SimRacing World Championship coming up, because that's a close Pro Championship that we're seeing this year, and a couple of promising drivers really that seemingly going to make their way into the World Championship, I'm sure, in the seasons to come.
That's what up and coming sort of feeder series should bring to the table for the number 1 category, of course, to make sure we can filter out the drivers that have been eager to perform and see how they manage under the stress of a real competition with prizes and points on the line. So it's what you really want to see if you're a manager of a World Championship team, to try and figure out who is the best up and coming drivers, and you can possibly get a nice new recruit for the next campaign.
Indeed, good to watch for those who are looking for that going into the future. I haven't spoken too much about the constructor standings actually so far for the World Championship. Those are still relatively close. ALM MV are currently leading the way by 37 points. That is Alex Zeuuw and Jan Granqvist, by the way. So the top 2 in the championship, therefore unsurprisingly leading the point standings in the constructors as well. MV Conquest are then in 2nd position. They are 37 points in behind. That's Loic Meunier and Petter Burlak, who is not here tonight, sadly. Burlak, so might well just lose touch in the championship now, with only 4 rounds to go at the end of this one. Grand Effect SimRacing team are next. That's Mark Schluter with George Zalgianis as well. So far, Zalgianis hasn't been able to really contribute too much to that points tally, only 16 points, whereas Schluter's been in the points for every single round. Ottomali in 4th place and 7 arrows rounding out the top 5, although they're tied with GE Invictus Motorsport at the moment in those standings. So top 2 in the drivers. No surprise that since they're on the same team, they're also leading the constructors as well, though as we've mentioned before, Crankvist is not here tonight, and so Mark Schluter or Jonas Braxok both got a great chance to move into that 2nd position in the championship standings. I was speaking to David earlier about the potential sort of coming of form, if you like, for Mark Schluter in just the last couple of weeks here. Eoin, what have you made of Mark Schluter? He got a penalty in Baku for round number 4. As the guys are getting onto the grid now, ready to start the formation lap. Is he maybe just coming into the right time, form at the right time here, the defending champion, perhaps?
Yeah, he could very well be. I suppose the point is, after I joined the FSR team at the Belgian Grand Prix last year, that was when Schluter took the championship by the scruff of the neck, and he just dominated. So he knew he was in a commanding position from there, and he made absolutely no mistakes. But I suppose the pressure of being the champion when you've got a new threat in Alex Laho to deal with, I suppose that can bring a lot of unpleasant stress upon your shoulders, not quite the joyous stress of being the championship leader and just racking up victories. So yeah, the Baku Grand Prix probably told him in his mind, yeah, you have to work extra hard this season to make sure you defend the title with as much honour as possible. And now with that incredible victory, myself, David, absolutely we're overjoyed about how incredible that ending was. So the fact that he has won such a splendid race for all involved, with 5 contenders for the victory, that's exactly the impetus he needs to pick up and start again, fresh as a daisy, to try and defend this title.
We're on our way round for the formation lap right now. David O'Reilly rejoins us as well in the commentary box, ready for the 52-lap British Grand Prix here tonight. Let's just go through the grid quickly, though, before we get to the start. Alex Laho taking the pole position here in front of Mark Schluter there, with Jonas Braxok and Loic Meunier then on row 2. 4 championship contenders in the top 4. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Lucas Murno and Christian Pasquale, who share row 3. Nando Marsa in 7th place, and George Zargianis, who is very much the meat in the sandwich there among 2 teammates, as Matt Tucson is in 9th place. Sava Elkis is just rounding up the top 10 there in front of his teammate Amin Susi. Juho Soppanen then rounding out row 6. And the final drivers on the grid, William Snowden, David Stefan and Julian Rajcevic, rounding right out the field. David, what are we expecting here in terms of tyre compounds off the beginning? It looks like we've got a real mix of medium and hard tyre runners to begin with here.
Yeah, a lot of medium runners, and this track eats the medium tyre pretty darn quickly. So I think we're going to see pit stop action pretty early, but I guess the guys at the front want every opportunity to get what they can done on the softer of the 2 compounds that we're going to see today. But those medium runners, it will surprise me if many of them go longer than 12 laps before pitting. So it remains to be seen. Hi, Eoin, by the way, and that was an epic Canada. It was an epic race called by you and an epic race. I've recommended to the viewers they go back and watch that one. Nice to be in the commentary booth with you again.
Absolutely, yeah. Pardon my lateness, but I just wanted to let you guys concentrate on the build-up. So now we're ready to go. This should be another exceptional race.
We are ready to go for the British Grand Prix, a fixture of the Formula SimRacing World Championship calendar over the last 2 decades or so. We're here again at the centre of British racing here for the 6th round of the World Championship in 2026. Here we go. The lights are on. And we are green here at Silverstone. Oh, big slide off the front row from Mark Schluter, who looked for a moment like he had the start to get alongside Alex Laho. Instead, he's the one defending from Loic Meunier, who's up in front of Jonas Braxok, coming down in towards turn 3 for the first time. It's Braxok's teammate, though, Murno, who's challenging him further through the first sector for the first time. There is contact between the teammates, and Murno's gone around through turn 4. That's big drama already for Ottomali, who make contact with one another. Jonas Braxok, it was on the outside there, and Murno caught up on the inside, just being turned around there. Eoin, never want contact between the teammates, but Braxok survives. It's Murno who drops to 12th.
That's so lucky. Brashok would have been focused on his high line on the apex, and Lucas was there, but the tyres have locked, and Murno is sent sideways. He picks up from P12 now. Hopefully those medium tyres haven't got any serious flat spots or a knock on the suspension arm. He'll be able to carry on, but that's a devastating start from such a phenomenal qualifying. But Alex Laho with that early advantage to put nearly 7/10 clear heading down the hanger straight now. But Schluter, he held on to that slide, and he's got probably that relief that he can carry on all right. But it's all about what happens from here on in. He's got to hang tight with the leader.
This is what happens for Renault on board. Oh, that's a tight one, isn't it? That is a difficult one. Just wheel-to-wheel contact there. It felt like they'd given each other enough room, but as Braxop began to accelerate first, because he was, we'll see it from his point of view here, because he was on the outside, he accelerated first, and he effectively just whips Murno around that. What do you make of that, David? It smelt to me like they'd given each other just enough room until that moment, and they made wheel-to-wheel contact. It's a difficult one to call, and never ideal for a debrief between teammates there.
Yeah, very difficult spot to leave room, because it is such a pinching, it really pinches you. Their line is pinched, and you have to absolutely get the throttle down, or you'll pay the price all the way along the hanger straight. So yeah, a difficult place to be side by side, no matter how well you get on.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially on lap number 1 as well. Now that the formation lap is over, we've got a better understanding of who started on what tyre, by the way, and it's medium tyres for everybody inside the top 7. The only hard tyre runners, in fact, in the 15 tonight, Susi, Tucson and Snowden, all starting on the hard tyres, but William Snowden also went for a spin. I believe it was at turn 1, by the way. Saw somebody spinning in the background of turn number 1 there, through Abbey for the first time. Not entirely sure how or why, but I think it was Snowden who maybe it was David Stefan as well, I'm not sure, but there was definitely a spin on lap number 1. In fact, here is the replay of it. There's a bit of smoke actually on the front straight there. It was side-to-side contact between Stefan and Snowden, who were 14th and 15th anyway, and they were even further at the back of the field after this. So Snowden was giving the room, really, actually gave him more than enough room there, but still got smacked, and that's a real shame for him, as he was sent into a spin and sent down the order on the opening lap of this race. So that's not ideal, especially when you're on an alternate strategy compared to the rest of the field. Alex Laho continues to lead though, in front of Mark Schluter, Loic Meunier and Jennis Braxop, the top 4. Christian Pasquale is holding on to their DRS at the moment. Mando Master not quite doing the same here. George Argianis in 7th place as well. Considering they're all on the same strategy here, I mean, it feels like maybe this first stint will be a little bit of a waiting game, although it also feels like the first pit stops, since they're all on the mediums, won't be very far away already.
No, I imagine...
sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just say, I imagine, people just want to suss out each other. I know there was a great variety of strategy at Montreal, and I think, with the weather conditions as hot as they are, it is a case where the queues will be quite difficult at times. I know certainly the hanger straight will be a popular overtaking point. Oh my goodness, that's another case of cops putting someone off there. And down to the back, it's Rimcevic has lost control there of his Mission 1 Supernova, and that allows some of those other drivers who we saw on the replay gain some positions. So thankfully nothing worse than that, but Stefan wants to pick up the double here on that slipstream. He's on the outside. Take the light braking. Can he keep it in the boundaries? Yes, he can. Great pass.
What I was just actually going to mention to you, the same driver, Julian Rimskovic, I think hopefully that's something like how you pronounce his name. He had a big one at the entry to Abbey turn 1 at the end of lap 1, beginning of lap 2, and did a complete 360. Oh, and he and William Snowden are debating about who gets to use which part of the track as well. But it looks to me like Julian's car is just not handling well. He's either overheated the tyres really badly with that 360 at the end of lap 1, or they've just got some issues with the way they've engineered the setup for that car. It is looking incredibly unruly, and I would be thinking it's going to be a miracle if he manages to get this car home the way it's looking at the track at the moment.
Number 3 at the back here all look like they're struggling, to be honest, for various reasons. Look at that on the way out of Luffield there for Wasimovic. very sideways. Anyway, at the front of the field, they're all in one DRS line, the top 5. And despite a couple of off-track moments and indeed a slide on the pit straight, getting this race underway. Mark Sutter's still running in second place, not far in behind Alex Zeuuw here. 2 DRS zones around here, as you can see with the track map on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. The exit out of Aintree, which feeds onto the straight down then in towards Brooklands, the Wellington Straight known as. That is the first of our DRS zones, and then the next of them coming out of Chapel after Maggots and Beckett's towards Stowe, the Hanger Straight. That is also a DRS zone. So far that has only served to keep these drivers together and keep each other within the DRS zone of each other, rather than actually execute any pass. But is this a particular surprise to you, David, that they're all in this first stint anyway, running around as one and not really finding each other at all?
Yeah, it's probably to be expected until we get around the period of the pit stop where somebody might be keeping something in their back pocket, might be looking after their tyres a little bit, hoping to go a lap or two longer, or might have a plan to do a bold undercut, because as we touched on in the intro, I think we can expect the undercut here to be quite huge. So somebody is probably going to play a card, but hasn't revealed it yet. So yeah, probably not unexpected, and that we're going to see some action within a handful of laps as we near the first pit window.
Well, we're already 5 laps through. It's the thing about Silverstone here. It's a long racetrack, as you mentioned earlier, David, nearly or just over a kilometre shorter than Spa, but in terms of a lap time round here, much shorter in terms of the actual time it takes, I should say, not the distance. So these laps get ticked off very, very quickly indeed. 5 laps of the British Grand Prix already over and done with here by Alex Zeuuw, and he's led every single one of them from the pole so far tonight. Jonas Braksuk was overtaken by Loic Meunier in the opening corners of this race, and that is the only change inside the top 4 at the moment. Here, Eoin, it was a nice pass actually, and as we spoke about it at the time, Jonas Braksuk came under more pressure from his teammate, although they eventually came to blows. It was a nice smart start from Meunier, who's getting into the habit now of picking up podiums, 3 in the last 4 races now.
Of course, yeah, but the missing link for Loic is that precious victory, and I know he has the capability of doing it. Certainly in the Pro Series he knows how to win, and yeah, definitely in Academy as well. Just wants that vital victory here in FSR World Championship, just to say, yeah, I am truly contender. I'm not just a best of the rest. I'm really going for this title, and I really want to show that in order to do it, I can get a victory to bolster my chances. And at the other end of the scale, you can see William Snowden has DNF, so 1 point on the table is gone. No one will be collecting that 15th position worth 1 point. So that's a shame for whatever happened to William. 14 runners are all eligible for points if they can complete 90% race distance. But as this queue is still plotting the course here, as lap 7 will now commence. It's all a case of, yeah, who is going to make a mistake before the pit stop. That's what could change in the battle for the victory.
Is anybody going to make a mistake here in these first moments? This is what happened to William Snowden. I would describe this as the straw that broke the camel's back, probably, since he's had lots of issues beforehand. Snaps away from him through turn number 1 and hits the wall hard. Well, he couldn't have continued on there even if he wanted to. The whole left side of the car tore off, and that is that. I mean, it's a little bit unusual to see, I've got to say, there, Owen. It's a car that's so twitchy, to be honest. You don't want a twitchy car around here at Silverstone. You want one planted to the ground, surely, because there's so many high-speed corners that if you're trying to correct a slide like that, there's no way you're going to be able to survive for an hour and a half making saves like that.
Well, certainly not. No.
William did report he was having problems with his throttle pedal about an hour before the race, so that may have come home to roost.
You don't want those either. Never mind a twitchy car or whatever. You don't want throttle problems either. That is it. Obviously, William Snowden's in the chat at the moment. Hopefully, he can tell us whether it was that or what it was there that has brought him to an end in this race. Well, 7 laps about to be complete here this time around, and the problem I see here, there's lots of reasons for early stops to be made here, fine, but The problem I see a little bit with early stopping here, Eoin, it's just the traffic that you could end up in. At the moment we've got the top 12 covered by 16 seconds. We've seen a time loss in the pit lane of about 19 seconds. Then very easy to see yourself dropped into the middle of the pack really here if you make an early pit stop. So that really reduces the chances of these top 5 to really do anything extravagant early on, at least in the first round of stops in this race.
Yeah, indeed, that is very, very probable that lap traffic will appear, but I suppose the longer laps here at Silverstone, 1.5 minutes on the high fuel load as of right now. As the race will progress, then of course, yeah, those times will tumble. But if you're not capable of at least getting 131s, 132s at your first stint, then yeah, you're in big trouble, and you're likely going to have to meet blue flag. And
Tucson attacking Sopinen for P11 quite aggressively, about to enter Cops.
This is back for 11th place. Tucson has lost a couple of places since the start of this race, and he's lost quite a lot of time there through Cops, actually, just getting that slightly wrong. And is this, David, do you think the turning of the tables now as far as the tyre compounds are concerned? Are we reaching the crossover point where these mediums are wearing out enough for the hards maybe to become the preferred option?
In the testing I did, and bear in mind I'm not as quick as these guys, not as good a driver, but the testing I did, the crossover occurs at lap 10 between medium and hard. And just addressing what you were saying before about the early stop, I think if you're one of these top 6 runners and you put on some fresh boots and come back out and you're in the region of, say, P12, P13, P14, but you're on fresh tyres, you will get past them without much effort at all, because you'll have a massive tyre advantage. You'll be on their gearbox, and with a bit of DRS and a bit of push to pass, I can't see them getting stuck behind people outside the top 10 if they return on fresh tyres. So I think they'll be quite aggressive personally on the pit strategy. A little bit different to what we saw in Canada, where tyre wear just was not a factor to nearly the same extent. So you've just, we saw it in Pro, the blokes returning on fresh tyres, they just had it all in their back pocket.
By the way, we've got a message in from William Snowden about the reason for his retirement. He says that he had massive oversteer problems after the contact on lap 1 with David Stefan, and that made the car very difficult to drive at high speed. So thanks for that info, and that is indeed the reason of our first retirement of the day for William Snowden down there at the back of the pack. Out of the final corner, and we are now on to lap 10 at the end of this one. So this is where things get a little bit more difficult for those medium runners. Here behind Tucson, still behind Sopinen for 11th place, but at the moment, I mean, this just seems to be immovable as well. I mean, maybe here is going to be more likely to have a move, because I think the hards, as David said there, these tyres are going to start to cross over now in as far as who is quicker than who, but out front they've been absolutely locked in position. No overtakes so far in that top 5 since the opening lap of this race.
Yeah, and I suppose there's extra motivation for Matthew today, because he was devastated to retire from the Canadian Grand Prix last time out, because his finishing streak, one of the best on record on the grid here in World Championship, was smashed. He had a big DNF there, so if he can get himself back in the top 10, back among the points, then he could climb up the table. There's a huge tie for 20 points between Christian Pasquale. Oh, there's the block though by Sopinen. Sopinen himself is kind of on the opposite end of the scale. He's not finished a single Grand Prix so far this season in 3 previous attempts, so opposite ends of the scale here for these drivers, knowing that points are guaranteed for completing the 9% distance and seeing hopefully the checkered flag as well. That'll confirm. But yeah, a big tie for points between Christian Pasquale in 9th and Matthew himself in 12th. So yeah, any points today will be absolutely precious in terms of finishing mid-table. But back to our lead battle, and again, it's just totally equal. There's no real give for Alex Laho up front. He may be a little bit slower last time out, but he's back in the 130s this lap, and he gains the 10th back. But Janos Brashok in P4, he was the one who gamped Montreal, didn't quite pay off with the 3-stopper. So he knows perhaps he could try a similar trick again, knowing that he has that double boost, I suppose, in the way behind Schulter and Munier. Of course, Christian Pasquale, let's not rule him out either.
Now, I think from memory, his 3-stopper, Janos Brashok's 3-stopper in Montreal was sadly ruined by lap traffic. The driver moved over beautifully and let the top 3 through, and then moved back on the racing line just when Bradshaw needed to let through, just before the chicane at the end of the lap before the World Champion. So that would have hurt.
And then Bradshaw finished 5th place at Montreal, losing points to each of the 3 in front of him. Actually, also Meunier just behind him, but also Schluter, Granqvist and Lahaut all finishing ahead of Jonas Bradshaw at the last round of this championship. Here's the end of lap 11, and by the way, on the last lap around, they couldn't actually come in because David Stefan was there limping, I think, trying to get back to pit lane, but eventually couldn't do it, and it's become our second retirement from this race very, very early on. 11 laps complete here now. We really are in that early pit stop window here if anybody wants to make an early stop. So far, they have not. David Stefan here in towards Stowe Corner. Out and on the curb pretty hard, and in the wall pretty hard as well. That's the second big crash, Eoin, that we've seen already in this race.
Yeah, drivers by themselves. I know William explained himself how the car was just misbehaving with that damage he picked up. Yeah, I'll have to see exactly how that came to be. We had 2 cars crashing out in solo incidents. George Aljanis has pitted very early. He stays in the top 10, so rFactor SimRacing team may have a plan up their sleeves, but maybe that could be a misnomer, as Schluter is very much his own man. He loves to calculate these things. But it'd be an interesting factoid if we can see Bounce Effect team making an early call to pit. But here's a look at Murno on the comeback trial yet again, side by side into Cops. This is brilliant stuff here. If this will pay off, Nandor Marza probably surprised that was such a possibility, but great build up all the way from Luffield to now, and Murno only 10 seconds off the lead. This isn't impossible for him, in fairness, guys. Automale, we're very pleased to see Lucas Murno showing his skills as he proved in qualifying that he's got a car underneath him today.
Yeah, we'll be very pleased with that because don't forget, earlier on made contact with his teammate Jonas Bradshaw. Murno has already recovered to 6th place. He's coming the pit lane now, so that pass has Mars has come in rather, so that's why he's jumped ahead of Murno very, very briefly. And then let's see what tyre compound Mars decides to put on this time around. He goes up on the jacks briefly, he gets back going again, and it is hard compound tyres for this second stint. I know we've got a small sample size so far, David, but that seems to be the choice from everybody going into the second stint of this race.
Yeah, I think it's the best race tyre. I can understand people wanting to start on the medium to get that initial traction off the line. But in my view, the hard tyre is the better race tyre. But just a little bit of trivia: William Snowden, that is his first non-points finish. He has finished in the points in every round so far with a couple of 9ths and an 11th. He skipped one round because he was away on holidays. So this is the first FSR World Championship race where he has had a DNF. So he's disappointed about that, but he'll be back to fight next time.
Yeah, indeed. Now then, we're already going to get to a quarter of this race already at the end of this lap as the leaders come towards the start-finish line again. Now, here we go. I think Bradshaw and Meunier there were trying to do effectively what the top 2 weren't going to do. So they've decided to come in the race, come in the pit lane in the race lead very briefly. Goodness me, his head looks massive. Anyway, into pit lane, and let's see what tyre he decides to put on. It should be hard tyres, as seen already. And look at that! Wow, it's going to be a race off pit lane for them both here. They can't do this side by side. That's what I was going to say, and indeed they won't as they come up the hill here. Once again, now Meunier has gone to the mediums again, whereas Bradshaw has gone to the hards. Is that maybe, David, a sign of the amount of stops that Meunier is going to make here versus Bradshaw? Is that a sign of a 3-stop race, maybe?
Well, yeah, definitely. 14 laps in, and he's taken mediums again. That did surprise me. Was he on mediums on the first stint? He must have been to stop at lap 14. Yeah, well, he's loving the mediums for some reason, and Loic is a student of setup. He knows his stuff. He knows what he wants to do. I think that one of the top drivers in Loic pitting like that is going to start a chain reaction now, because Zeuuw and Schluter will know that he is going to get a massive undercut on these medium tyres unless they think long term.
Well, this is surely going to be a response from Alex Zeuuw and Mark Schluter this time round, or not. Well, they're definitely going to give up the race lead in this case because of the undercut that Loic Meunier especially is going to be getting, but you can imagine Jonas Braksuk will get ahead of them, and maybe even the likes of Sargianis and Sotsi as well. But there could be some benefits on strategy for these guys later, considering they've stayed out here. Christian Pasquale has responded from third position, but this is where the games really begin here, Eoin, and this race is going to get very scattered for the middle third because of all these different strategies that are waiting to unfold.
Yeah, you look at Zaljanis with a new fastest lap. You look at Meunier, Braksuk, they've got purple sectors, middle and third sector for Loic. Oh, that's close. Zaljanis with that pace underneath them now. So close to making contact with Christian Pasquale. Thankfully, the two drivers cooperated in the nick of time. But now you can see the benefits of hitting early for George. He is absolutely on a tear at the moment, but Pasquale will eventually warm up those hard tyres and get equal with him. So that's a one to watch. And similarly, we just had... Oh no, he's gone wide! Is he going to avoid the bar? No, he's not! Oh. He's binned it, unfortunately. That could be suspension damage. Just as bigging him up and all. Oh, that's gutting.
So guys, Loic Meunier is now at 16 seconds from the lead. Pit stop is 19. So Loic Meunier will be in the lead after Zeuuw and Schluter pit. But of course, as he chose the medium tyre, he is not going to be able to run a super long stint. So there, as you said, Mark Schluter in the pits. Mark Schluter pitting.
Yep, Mark Schluter comes into the pit lane, responding now, well, a little bit late to Meunier and Braksuk. I guess he's just running his own race at the moment, not really worrying about their strategy as he comes to a stop and changes tyres as well. He'll be on his way.
Mark's on the hards.
Onto the hard, so no surprise there. He'll be looking to potentially make less stops than likes of Meunier, maybe even Braksuk, but they're on the same tyres at the moment. Pasquale also stopped a lap earlier than Mark Schluter here, but can't get ahead of him. There was a second or two between them anyway, so Schluter able to cover that one off, although Alex Zeuuw could be behind both of them here, Schluter and Pasquale. I mean, for all the benefits that Zeuuw might be experiencing right now, David, in terms of taking these mediums as long as he can, surely he's putting himself into quite a lot of traffic for this second part of the race.
Yeah, potentially, and I think the biggest thing I'd be worried about if I were him is Schluter, because Schluter's gone for the hards, so Schluter can go fast and long, and Zeuuw's tyres have got to be going off. Yeah, he's doing 1:31.3. His quickest lap was a 1:30.1, so he's now 1.2 seconds slower than he was, and on lighter fuel. So, you know, in my books, he's giving away the best part of 2 seconds a lap now to Schluter. And in fact, yeah, Zeuuw's responding now. Zeuuw is entering pit lane.
That, by the way, was a replay of George Sargianis and the reasons for his DNF here tonight. And that is a cruel way to end his day, by the way. Technical problem with his wheel, meaning he ended up in the wall and out of the race. That was a close moment. Zeuuw just about getting in front of Murno there. Sorry, not Murno. That's Ramsovic, who's coming in pit lane there as well. But Zeuuw's going to be behind Mark Schluter here with that undercut. In fact, he's been able to stay in front of Christian Pasquale, who has not had a very good lap there, where he would have been expecting to get ahead of Alex Zeuuw. He's not been able to stay with Schluter and do that, so that's gone slightly better for the Frenchman than it otherwise might do. But they'll all be promoted one place when Murno comes into the pit lane, although he must be really doing something different on strategy. And at the moment here, Eoin, it seems that Loic Meunier is going to be the race leader, but Braksuk's going to be right with him, even though they're on different tyre compounds at the moment. Braksuk seems right able to stay with him right now.
Yeah, fabulous call from the Automali team to get Braksuk in nice and early. So his ability to stick with Meunier will depend on how quickly those medium tyres get up to speed for Loic, and then eventually they'll wear down that little bit quicker as well. But that is great news for Braksuk to use that under very rapid lap times to leapfrog Mark Schluter and Alex Zeuuw there for positions. And now the matter of the fact is Munier will be a whole different proposition on circuit. That's where it really will count. But Murno, will he get the signal to come in? Yeah, he is. That should be coming in now. He's losing time. Yeah, there you go. He's triggered the in-pit signal. Now that he can take that little shortcut, he'll definitely fall down the order now. I expect a fight with Nandor Marza coming up, though, in a little while.
Was that Lucas? Is that Lucas's first stop?
Yep.
It is, David, yes.
Oh, he's won. He ran long on the medium.
Yeah, he stayed out very long.
He was enjoying just not having anyone bump into him.
Yeah, well, Mano makes his way back out again, and at 7th place for him. We have had another crash, by the way. Saba Elikas is now out of this race, I think, after a crash through Kopp's corner. We'll try and see again in a moment for him, but it's unfortunate because we've got our 4th DNF of the race so far for Saba Elikas, and we're only, less than a third, or about a third rather, of the way through this race. Now, Braxok still staying with Meunier in the top 2. Then it's Mark Sluter who's in 3rd, getting away a little bit from Alex Lehoux. Then Christian Pasquale rounding out the top 5. Big gap then back to Nando Marza, who's just in front of Lucas Mano. Then Matt Susi and Juho Soppanen rounding out the top 10. Soppanen's on the soft tyres, by the way, in a slightly unusual call. Braxok's going to be applying the pressure, but based on what we saw in the first part of the race, Owen, I'm sceptical we are going to see a move here from Braxok in the next few moments.
Yeah, it will be very risky. I suppose, Automali would dearly love to secure a big result here at a prestigious track like Silverstone. So at the moment they have 1 win so far this campaign. That's what Anos craved, to get a big win at Bahrain. But to do it again, that's the real test to make sure he is a title contender all the way to the end of the season. Here's a look at Saba Elikas on the replay, though, through Chapel Curve, but then the back end just gets completely loose, and Severn Arrows could be going home with nothing today. Yeah, that car may have been buried in the barriers.
Indeed.
Now, guys, if we looked at the top 4 as 2 pairs, in my books, Janos Braxok's got the upper hand on Meunier because he's running with him and he's on the harder tyre. So if he was patient, he could just be saying, well, I'm just going to give you 6 or 7 laps till your mediums start to go away, and then I'm going to turn the screw. And the next pair of Lehoux and Schluter, they are on identical strategies. They've run medium, and now they're on hard. It's just Schluter scored a massive undercut by going in 1 lap earlier. So they're on almost identical strategies and identical tyre life so far, but Schluter's ahead on track. So how these 2 groups of 2 merge is going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably a good way of looking at it as well, the fact that there probably are 2 pairs right now, Meunier, Braxok, and then Schluter, Lehoux. Even if it might be easy-ish to decide who's going to, although to be fair, I think Schluter and Lehoux probably quite well matched, but which of the pairs is going to be the right way to go about this at the moment? And what about Meunier's strategy right now? Is this going to pan out for him in the way that he's hoping? Because he's the one who's the real outlier at the moment in those race contenders this afternoon. Braxok just went a little bit deep there in towards turn number 3, and so he's going to have to get back in the DRS again, get back into the slipstream, get back on terms with Meunier before trying to overtake him here. But I do wonder, Owen, whether the fact that he's not really got away here, Meunier, early on here on those mediums compared to the hards, is because he's maybe taking good care of those mediums and therefore being a little bit more gentle with them, going a bit slower. Or maybe he's just struggling compared to those others who are on the hard compound at the moment and look like they're running quite well.
Yeah, I know from experience in last year's championship, certainly the decision that you make at the end of your strategy, depending on which tyre you have to take. I know in Loic's case, he's gone medium, so he must take a hard tyre, or dare I say a soft tyre if he's feeling very, very risky. He'd have to switch compounds, whereas everyone else has the freedom to go back to medium tyres at the end if they so choose. So yeah, for Meunier's case, I know at Baku it looked like he's having a comfortable run of it, but in the end he was pipped by Jan Grankvist. So this time around perhaps he's not going to have that huge lead that'll get eaten into. So as you speculate, he could be taking nice care of those tyres in exchange for a very powerful hard stint at the end. So we'll wait and see. But for now, hopefully those memories from Baku have been put to good use for Loic, as of course he's yet to win this season. That was probably the best chance he had, except for Grankvist being on an absolute tear that day.
Indeed. No Jan Grankvist here this afternoon, sadly. Not here, and he's going to lose out in the championship as a result. Sluter, Braxock, Munier all probably going to move ahead of him tonight as a result of his absence, but hopefully he'll be back in the coming weeks to contend for the title, although maybe it will be down to a 4-horse race. Petr Perlak also not here, the 2015 world champion, trying to roll back the years in 2026 and win for a second time. I think that would be the longest gap between drinks as far as multiple champions are concerned. We were talking earlier, David, about those who have gone back-to-back before, those who have at least won multiple titles at all before. Doesn't look like it is going to be Petr Perlak this season. Mark Sluter's got a much better chance of adding his name to that very short list of drivers.
Yeah, it would be an incredible achievement to join that group of 4 multiple champions in FSR. That would be an exciting motivation. No matter how quick you are and no matter what leagues you race in, you join a very elite crew if you get on that list of being multiple champion in FSR.
Indeed. 30 laps to go here at the British Grand Prix, in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment, with Munier leading, Braxock leading, Sluter leading Le Haut. Christian Pasquale has made a good show of himself tonight, but he is just beginning to lag behind by a couple of seconds or so here, Eoin, but putting up a decent fight, and I still think a top 5, to be honest, for Pasquale would be a good result. He hasn't been this high in this season, and as you pointed out earlier, there is a real fight for, well, there's first of all a 4-way tie for 9th, which he's a part of, but there's also a real fight for 7th here, what we could describe as best of the rest, really, and a top 5 here would put Pasquale maybe in that 7th position potentially.
Well, by all means, yeah. Nandor Mars, of course, will have his say, and he'll believe, yeah, I'm the one who should be 7th in the championship, and he is indeed 7th on the road today, so he's kind of stuck with that number, whether he likes it or not. But that DNF in Bahrain for Nandor was probably the low point of his campaign, but otherwise he has been driving very solidly all season long. The job is to hang on to that, but if Christian Pasquale knows how to peak at the right times, he's got that pace. It's certainly a mental game. If you know on your best day you can pick up top 5s, top 6s, that really does help you in the championship. So Christian, when he is able to pick up those points, they're very good results for Squire Nation and himself. So that's the difference. Sometimes getting those peak results can beat consistency, but it has to be really, really good.
Nandor Mars should certainly have his eye in, because he competed in the pro race earlier this afternoon. So he should be very, very comfortable and familiar with the circuit layout for sure.
Indeed, he's been doing the double for quite a few weeks now as Marsa. He's been at all of the rounds of the World Championship so far, and I believe he missed only one of the pros so far. Oh, look at that from Braxock there. Just a little bit of a look to the inside as this real single file run between the top 2 finally comes to an end here, and it's been a long time where Munier has been leading Braxock, and just Braxock's been aimlessly following him. But Braxock seems like he wants to get past now, because he can see Sluter and Le Haut catching them both behind.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the case here, Ewan. When you know it's time to move, you have to make it count, or else those oncoming cars who pitted a little bit later, they're going to get their time back later in the stint. So, yeah, time is now against Janos here. He's got to decide very quickly where he's going to make an overtake if he can. Otherwise, yeah, he will be swallowed up and potentially knocked off the podium completely. So we're seeing Le Haut with a green first sector. DRS heading into the end of the lap will certainly help him out a little bit more. But this 4-way battle for the lead, as it stands, will now heat up.
Well, this is going to be a potentially important moment for Jonas Braxock. Can he get past Munier and away from him before Sluter and Le Haut get there and potentially follow him here? Because that's what's looking like what's happening at the moment. Braxock might well open the door for Sluter and Le Haut to just step straight through as well. He's pretty close coming out of the first sector now. Is Braxock onto the Wellington Straight, and much closer this time than when he had a little bit of a look last time round. He pulls alongside this time into Brooklands. There's no fight from Munier, who lets Jonas Braxock into the race lead of the British Grand Prix. And it feels to me, Eoin, like that pass obviously important, but these next few laps even more important, because he might be able to continue to keep this distance between himself and Mark Schluter if he gets away quickly here.
Well, you better believe it. Yeah, great first sector there with the DRS assistance. Sub 25 seconds now through Maggots and Beckett's. He's got to be absolutely laser focused on how he conducts himself now that he has the lead. You know, having that target in front of you can be very helpful, but when it's finally the work done and you've made the overtake, then sometimes the focus can drop. So Munier quicker in the middle sector, of course. He will have that slipstream to help him. But definitely a job for Bradshaw. Very impressively done to get that overtake done with little fuss into Brooklands. So the ability to go on and win this race depends purely on his shoulders and how he can differentiate himself from these three other competitors. But in case of Schluter and Lahoo, they will peak in a little while, as those tyres will definitely have a little bit of a health advantage as the race develops.
This race is developing into a very interesting one so far. The first half of it about to be complete here at Silverstone tonight. And Jonas Brakshock leads the field now, coming around lap 25. At the end of lap 26 will be at the absolute halfway point here. Luke Munier still out there on the medium tyres, and still for the moment, David, is holding pace with these guys. But feels to me like Schluter and Lahoo themselves have got an important moment coming here. If they get stuck behind Munier, then really gives Jonas Brakshock the chance to get away and pull a bit of an advantage over the rest of the field.
Yes, indeed, and with the tyre life of those mediums that Munier's on, that the previous lap to the overtake when Brakshock sort of showed his nose just before the entry to Brooklands, in my head I was imagining a bit of, so how are those mediums feeling at the moment, Loic, as a bit of a precursor to the next lap where he made a pretty convincing pass, and I think Loic Munier just knew that he could not repulse that attack. But I think equally, if Mark Schluter gets on the gearbox of Munier at this stage in his medium tyre stint, it's going to be hard for Munier to hold them up. It's going to be fascinating to see what Munier's plans are, because there are 26 laps left. He's either got to take a bit more out of these mediums and put on some hards and do a long run home, or he's got to pit soon and have two stints that are mega quick. So remains to be seen. But Brakshock, Schluter and Lahoo, they're all effectively on the same strat, aren't they? Brakshock just stopped one lap before Schluter, and then Lahoo one lap after Schluter.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm just going to double check that. Yeah, it looks like lap 14 is when Brakshock hit it, and Schluter on 15. So yeah, it was Brakshock that started those guys reacting, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's see when the second round of stops is and who goes on to what at that point in this race. 26 laps to go at the end of this one. I might say that a few more laps and one more hard tyre stints might get you to the end. So need a good few more laps out of these tyres yet before they can get to that stage, but we're not too far away from it. As I said earlier, these laps get ticked off very, very quickly around Silverstone. So far, Luke Munier has been able to stay in the sort of DRS and draft of Jonas Brakshock up in front of him, but surely that is going to come to an end at some point, as these medium tyres will fade away at some stage, and then Brakshock has got to hit hard and try and get a gap that might well get him to go on and win this race. We'll wait and see whether he can do that. Take his second race victory of the season after his victory at the Bahrain Grand Prix earlier this year. Munier's still in that DRS somehow here, and actually it's Alex Lahoo who seems to be struggling a little bit more. Either he's struggling for pace or he's conserving his tyres, but he's more than a second behind Mark Schluter now.
My goodness, yeah, that's not in the script for Alex tonight. If he fails to keep within the 0.7 of a second, so we'll maybe investigate with a replay from broadcast director Remco. It's into Kopp's corner, and yeah, he's run a little bit too high, so he needs that runoff to bail him out there. So thankfully the bottoming out of his ALM MV car did not cause him anything beyond just a little bit of vibration. I'm sure it's nothing worse than that. So just a costly cut too far wide on the understeer, so hopefully he'll be okay.
He's not down and out yet, but he is a second behind Mark Zeuuw right now. Is the hope. The current championship leader, don't forget, by 8 points over Jan Granqvist coming into tonight, and Mark Zeuuw 14 points behind coming into tonight's 6th round of the championship. Can Zeuuw get past Meunier here as Braxtock begins to edge away and potentially get out of DRS range completely from Loic Meunier now? Let's see what the capacity was at the detection point next. It's just before turn 3. And he's not there. So Meunier's lost the DRS now, and generally when that happens, the gap tends to extend. So question remains here now, Eoin, whether we're going to see the urgency from Zeuuw really he needs to have, because otherwise Jens Braxtock could be a second or two up the road very quickly.
Yeah, the medium stint for Loic in the first run of it was 13 laps. So the fact that he's taken these tyres a lap longer, I know of course the fuel load has decreased as they burn through the fuel, but yeah, I doubt these medium tyres can go much longer than 16 laps, being absolutely honest, unless Loic has performed some sort of magic trick. So this is where you have to decide for the sake of his chances of winning, when do I pit? When is the turnover for the hard tyres too good to refuse? So we're going to stay on board out of Stowe corner there. He won't take to the pit lane just yet, but no doubt Eoin, he's got to pit very soon, or else the hard tyre that he must take on to comply with the 2 compound rule, it'll be completely for naught.
Yeah, indeed. This just might actually be one of those racetracks unusually where 3 evenly spaced medium tyre runs would be fine if that was allowed, of course. As you say, you've got to use 2 different compounds, which most drivers have already hit in this race. The gap's over a second now. In fact, it's nearly 1.2 seconds for Loic Meunier up to Jonas Braxtock here. So Mark Zeuuw just got to strike soon. And here he is in the slipstream and the DRS now, and he's going to rip past on the way towards Brooklands. That had to be made here, and he's even able to pull onto the racing line in time for Brooklands. I get the feeling here, David, that this is more and more about Jonas Braxtock versus Mark Zeuuw. Very unusually, the championship leader Alex Lowe, unless he's got something up his sleeve here that I'm not quite expecting. At the moment, it seems to me to be between Braxtock and Zeuuw this race.
Well, Braxtock is certainly driving beautifully, and he knows what it takes to win. He's got 1 win under his belt, and he is one of the elite group of these drivers. And he showed in Canada that he is very thoughtful about strategy. He knows what the tyres can do. So yeah, this is game on between Braxtock and Zeuuw. Braxtock's not there purely because of an unusual strategic choice. He's only pitted for the same tyres 1 lap before Zeuuw did. So this is and Zeuuw is entering pit lane. Zeuuw is pitting now.
Look about going on the offensive here. He's just made a pass that you would think, well, why doesn't he stay out there and continue with that momentum to drive up to Braxtock here and try and overtake him for the race lead? But no, he's decided to use that momentum to go straight into the pit lane. There's still 23 laps to go, so I'm unsure as to whether this is the final stop of the day. We'll speak about that in a moment, but here comes Zeuuw out of the pit lane. He's in free air up to Lucas Murno, who is, don't forget, Jonas Braxtock's teammate, so they could potentially do something with that in the next few moments. The home in time gets past Meunier, who really himself needs to pit now on those medium tyres, I would say. But that could be an interesting subtext to all this, Eoin. Murno could really help Braxtock by getting in front of Zeuuw, and obviously not doing anything too egregious, but just by staying out a bit longer than he ordinarily would and forcing Zeuuw to make an overtake could make the very smallest amount of difference here.
Of course, yeah, the team game is absolutely critical in any form of motorsport when you are put into pairs or any other size of team, 3 or more in certain cases. So it'll be brilliant for Lucas just to say, yeah, you now are key to how this team gets on in both the singular chase for victory with Janos and of course for the team's championship as well. Both of you can make such a huge difference for both sides of the coin. But Meunier finally takes the dive to pit lane, so he will go hard tyres to the end of the race here, unless he's going for something quite extraordinary in of a 3-stopper. Amine Suisi down P9 at the moment. He is like going for a 3-stopper. He put in some brilliant laps a little while ago, so I imagine he has to pit one more time. So we're seeing the white stripe tyres now on board Loic's NV car. So this is it now. He's got to commit to the set of tyres. He's going to land right behind Schluter, but in between Nando Mars as well. Nando won't be able to catch him up in time, so that's okay for Loic. It's not the end of the world. He has to push very hard though, just to get these tyres working as they should, or else that gap to Mark would just be a little bit too difficult to reel in.
That's quite a gap for Meunier to close in here. What do you make of these stops at the moment, David? Are we seeing the final stops play out for us at the moment, since they're all putting on hard tyres here? Are we expecting them to go to the end, or maybe one more stop after this?
I don't think so. To me, it really looks like Schluter has played Brackshock at the undercut game. Brackshock got in the lead by undercutting him and Alex Zeuuw, and this time Mark Schluter has pulled the trigger on the undercut very early, or certainly earlier than I was expecting. But Mark Schluter is flying, and he's 17.6 seconds behind the leader. So Janos Brackshock will exit the pits behind Schluter. But what have we got? 21 laps to go. Is he going to hold his nerve and try and hold them off on that one set of tyres? I suppose if Mark gets in the lead, all he's got to do is react. If the guys behind him pit, he pits. If they don't pit, he doesn't pit. And I know he rued his decision in Suzuka to not stick with it, because he was in a great position and made what he felt in the end was an unnecessary final pit stop when he should have backed himself. And in fact, Schluter has just overtaken Brackshock. The undercut has worked. Brackshock left the pits and is now behind Schluter on tyres that are just 1 lap older, or younger. Wow. Sorry, I did a bit of a monologue there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it's fine. Brackshock versus Schluter is now seemingly the fight. Now, Alex Zeuuw was taking things a little bit easier early on, and he might well be reaping some of the benefits of that. There's all sorts of strategy games going on here, and don't forget, as I mentioned earlier, Automale do have Murnau up the road here in front of Brackshock, but perhaps more importantly than that, still in front of Mark Schluter as well for 4th position at the moment. So 20 laps to go when they get to the line here, and I do wonder, Eoin, whether they are going to put Murnau in front of Schluter to potentially try and do something in terms of slowing him down. But at the moment, Schluter is in front of Brackshock. Can they maybe change that around in towards Stoke Corner? Brackshock can't still get past. Murnau could be a very interesting card in all of this as the race leader comes in.
Yeah, you can see in the foreground, just the focus was off Lucas in that case, but certainly will be on him in just a moment. Alex Zeuuw will not stay in front of that gaggle for very long, as they will pass him right now. So Alex will have to claw back that deficit as soon as he can. So Murnau, after facing sideways at the exit of Aintree, he now has a chance to help his teammate out after their disagreement into that very same corner as we drive by it right now. So Lucas knows what's coming right behind him, and I'm sure he'll do his very best to play the team game without being reckless or unfair to anybody else, particularly Mark Schluter, of course. So here we go around Luffield now, and this is the high-speed section of the circuit. The sweepers really do absolutely enthrall of our audience here at the British Grand Prix. So here we go, these World Championship cars push to their absolute limit here, and Murnau just watching to see what's going on behind him, because he knows if Janos is able to overtake Mark, he's got to move over immediately. There's no hesitation. I'm sure on the Automale crew, they've got to say, yeah, Lucas, if you know what's coming, then yeah, please help us out. But so far, Schluter's going for it here. Eoin, he's on the outside line. He's got to make it stick.
That was
brilliant.
Smooth.
That's superb.
That was fantastic from Mark Schluter. And how about the importance at this stage in the race as well. He needed to get past Murnau there before that got ridiculous, and before Jonas Braksuk had the chance to strike. Getting out the way there is a lap car just on the front straight here, and surely the Ottomani teammates now are not going to get in each other's way again. Don't forget, through turn 4 on lap 1 of this race, they made contact, and there goes Murnau pulling off to the side of the road to let Jonas Braksuk through. But what a great move that was from Sluter there, David, and it's such an important time in this race as well.
Well, yes, and Murnau pulled off what is really the best defence he could do into Stowe. If you get between the other driver and the apex at Stowe, there's really not much they can do. And normally it works, but of course the thing with Schluter's tyres were 14 laps younger, and he just had the confidence in his car to drive around the outside of him. So I think Lucas did everything he could do to defend against Mark, but Mark just had the car under him, had the rubber under him, and drove around the outside of him. So exciting bit of racing.
Absolutely fantastic, and again, what an important time in this race to do that as well. On the outside through Stowe corner, and that will give him the lead. Christian Pasquale is staying out here. Now, you mentioned, David, that we didn't really get to explore it too much, but that we're probably not seeing the last pit stops here. 18 laps to go for Christian Pasquale. Is he maybe going to the end from this next pit stop here, and what does that mean for the others? It's so unpredictable at the moment what we might see in the final 18 laps right now.
Yeah, well, Christian pitted, on lap 14? Wow, okay. He's made them last. Has he just pitted?
Oh, he's gone for mediums, yes. So
Mediums,
Squire is cheerful that his driver temporarily led the race, but now he's gone for the audacious medium, hard, medium strategy. So Squire Nation may have a trick up those wheel-to-wheel contact with Munier and Murnau. They're taking each other wide, and that's going to potentially benefit Alex Lahoe, who's been biding his time, and he's made up 2 places in the first sector here on lap 35, a critical moment in the championship. Munier still believing he can become the champion, winless so far in 2026, but that's a big moment in this campaign, and Murnau for the second time has felt someone's wrath into...
Munier is pulling off the track.
Yes, he is pulling off the track here. Briefly, he's going again now. But that was an aggressive move down the inside of Murnau from Luc Munier just in the last couple of moments, and Alex Lahoe was the one who was really able to benefit from that. He's now in 3rd place, 3.5 seconds behind the race leader Mark Sluter and Jonas Braksuk, who are running together out front right now. But that fight for 3rd, that got aggressive suddenly there, and Murnau playing his part here really, firstly for his own race, where he's definitely doing a 2-stop now, considering how long he's gone on those hard tyres, but also his Ottomani teammate Jonas Braksuk, who he made contact with on the opening lap of this race. A moment of drama, but as you said, Owen, the real beneficiary there is Alex Lahoe, who's up to 3rd.
Absolutely, yeah, just to have those drivers in front of him make contact. He knows he's got to be absolutely assertive to benefit from that, and that's what the championship leader has done. He got through as those competitors had their collision of sorts, but thankfully they're all able to carry on. I suppose Loic take responsibility. I thought it might have been a little bit of damage they had to be concerned about, but yeah, I think he's just said, yeah, that was my fault, I'll take responsibility and I'll try better next time by letting Lucas back through. So thankfully that has been sorted amongst the drivers, and they're able to race on. But now
that was pretty gentlemanly of him, because it wasn't a clear-cut faux pas, but we'll have a close look at that another time.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we'll meantime focus on these race leaders. Mark Sluter versus Jonas Braksuk, still 1 and 2. So, well, the gap, just about getting to a second for a moment. Is the DRS still for Braksuk? Yes. Feels like when you lose that DRS, it's a real step backwards, and a real well, the gap continues to go the wrong way from there, but so far Jonas Braksuk hasn't quite lost that yet, although he is struggling at the moment. Let's have a look at a replay just while we got a moment. So here's the move from Munier on Murnau. I guess he was feeling the pressure from Lahoe anyway, and he'd just come from a very long way back into turn 4. Murnau's not expecting it, and Lahoe, as I say, the one who got past both. I'll ask you both, but Eoin first, what did you make of this move? Overly aggressive, or just necessary for this point in the race, do you think?
Yeah, he comes from deep, yeah. He's got to be 100% committed. Yeah, he does have the wheels alongside, so there's definitely an opportunity to surprise Lucas there. So it was from deep. Maybe if I were him, I would have waited, but I know that's why I'm sitting in the commentary booth, and Loic is a World Championship contender, so he knows better than me. But yeah, I would say he did the right thing just to say, yeah, accept responsibility and move over. So yeah, it was risky, but I suppose he knows best.
David, what did you make of it? I thought, to be honest,
I'm looking at it now with slow-mo, and I'm just going to go sideways. Yeah, Loic Mounier did the right thing to hand the position back, because at the turn-in point he did not have adequate overlap. So it was only marginal. He probably only lacked adequate overlap by a foot, but by the rules we race, he's got to have his front wing equal to the defending driver's T-cam to be entitled to racing room, and he wasn't quite there. So I'm going to agree with Eoin and say that yeah, that was probably a good thing that he handed it back, and full credit to him for being a gentleman about it.
We've got a unanimous decision here then on that. Yeah, I thought, well, irrespective of whether he had the overlap or not, I thought, you know, whenever you're making a move down the inside, whatever overlap you have, you've got to at least make the apex in the corner yourself. And I'm afraid for Mounier there, he was slightly wide of the apex there anyway, and did go into the side of Murnau. They are going to meet again by the looks of things, because Murnau is refusing to stop in this middle stint. I don't know why he's going so long on these hard tyres. Doesn't seem to me to be the best strategy in the world, but he is potentially going to get in the way of Mounier again, who actually will have to look behind at Christian Pasquale in the next few moments as well. But always interesting when a pairing who have already fought in this race and come back together again and fight on again, and it looks like that's what these two are going to have in the next couple of moments.
If you want to be absolutely honest here, Ewan, Zeuuw Soppinen gave us a brief sample of the soft tyre back in around laps 12 to 20 thereabouts. So the soft tyre, imagine that Lucas going for the soft tyre, he'd have to pit on lap 43 to realistically get them to the end. But I don't see the benefit of that whatsoever here at Silverstone. The lap is just a little bit too long with the pit lane as it is. You won't get the benefit, but Pasquale, there's a courageous battle there, and he's fought ahead of Mounier on pure pace. As there we go, Lucas comes into the pit. So yeah, I'd imagine it's a medium tyre that'll get him to the end of the race. His job is just to make sure he finishes P7 clear of Nando Marza in Invictus.
So it's going to be mediums. I suspected it might be for Murnau here. As you say, I think Soppinen showed that the soft tyre is not really viable as a race tyre, but the mediums, a little bit of speed at the end, potentially. Pasquale ahead of Mounier, by the way, speaking of somebody on the mediums. Christian Pasquale on the medium tyres from here. I wonder whether he's stopping from here to the end as well, because he did go quite far, furthest of the top 5 in the previous stint, but he is on the medium tyres now, so whether he'll be able to go to the end or not remains to be seen. We'll be 3/4 of the way through this race when we get to the end of this lap. And what do you reckon, David? Is it going to be Schluter versus Brakshock to the finish, or are we going to see some more pit stops between now and the finish? Are we going to see Alex de Hoo maybe catching up before the finish as well, maybe?
Well, I'm just trying to work it out, because Schluter took fresh hards at lap 30. So he's only 9 laps into those hard tyres. And what's he got to do, another 13? Yeah, they can definitely do 21 laps. But it's a question of if somebody wants to put on fresh tyres and go really, really fast, they're going to be running out of laps pretty soon. There's only, 13 laps left. So you've got to make up a 19-second pit stop. So my gut is saying go for the undercut, but my brain is saying Schluter's just going to sit there and go, well, I'll react, guys. I'll just stay out here in the lead. I don't even need to react. But if Brakshock hits, maybe Schluter shouldn't react, because Brakshock will have an undercut, but only if Schluter hits. So from here on in, he's probably better off just to make these tyres work to get him home. I hope that made some sense.
No, that's absolutely. Well, it's a complex scenario anyway at the moment. There's no doubt about that. It's unpredictable right now. 12 laps to go at the end of this one.
I'm going to mention one other alumni. We touched on Stoffel van Dorn earlier on in the broadcast. I play a little bit of Le Mans Ultimate just for relaxation, because it's a lot less serious than practicing for Formula Sim racing. And I came across Sander Callis on a server at Silverstone. I was having a break from Silverstone in the FSR car, and I was driving a GT3 car around Silverstone. And I had the pleasure of being overtaken by Sander Callis in a hypercar. Sander Callis is now a platinum driver in Le Mans Ultimate, and I don't know if there are any more platinums or it's just him, but he is an absolute superstar in Le Mans Ultimate. So he's having the season off FSR. Hopefully we'll see him again, but he has been a long-term campaigner, and it just goes to show to the viewers, if you come here, you're racing against the best drivers in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Braxock means meantime. Gets towards Mark Schluter, towards Brooklands, but decides not to make the move at the moment. 12 laps to go. They crossed when they came over the line last time around. And Alex Zeuuw is catching them both at the moment here, Eoin. So an interesting call from Braxock to stay behind. Clearly he feels that he's got to bide his time at this stage, and because he definitely could have got down the inside there if he really wanted to, but that's clearly a choice from him to stay behind and wait for a little bit later. A very interesting choice.
Yeah, I suppose knowing Silverstone and the own video game experience, perhaps the better overtaking point is the hanger straight into Stowe, because you have the chance to put your opponent into dirty air through the final chicane, and then the loop section of the circuit can be quite slow at times, so it's difficult to pull off overtakes there until you get your DRS at the Wellington Straight. So I suppose if Brašok, if he's being the tactician today in response to what we saw from Schluter earlier on, then he has to pick a spot, and if it were a completely free choice in terms of how this race develops, and the better part of the track to overtake, in my estimation, is Stowe, just to have that perhaps 40 seconds alone that you're unlikely to be dive bombed. I know, as we saw with Loic Meunier at this very corner, that if you try it from too far, then you're going to just make unnecessary contact, and that will waste everybody's time. So here we go, Brašok, if he's going to go for it, and he's too far back, to be honest, as I say, that's too far back. So Schluter can cover the apex, the late apex there in Brooklands. So Brašok has to get through Max Beckett's intact and then go for it. So Eoin, this is one to watch.
As things stand, by the way, with 10 laps to go at the end of this one, Mark Schluter would move, he would halve his deficit to Alex Zeuuw in the championship. Zeuuw would continue on in the championship lead, and Jonas Braxock would be 14 points behind rather than 17, and Schluter only 7 behind. And real top three defining themselves at the front of this championship now, with Luc Meunier just falling a little bit behind. As things stand, of course, there's still a long time for that to change, and especially because I think Alex Zeuuw is definitely catching those two up in front of him right now, but he's so far not there. Still 10 laps to go. They stay out on the racetrack once more for another lap here. Will they do that for the next 10 times around and go to the end on these tyres? It does seem that, Alex Zeuuw's played a very sort of conservative race, I would say, here so far, David, but it seems that maybe he's been holding a bit of tyre life back for this stage in the race, and he's slowly seems to be running those two in front of him down in the latter stage of this race.
Yeah, well, one of the things that entered my mind about Braxock just had a bit of throttle oversteer there exiting the village complex. One of the things that entered my mind, and by the way, Zeuuw has been 2.6 seconds back from Schluter for 4 or 5 laps now, is that Braxock is a smart enough driver to perhaps even say to himself, if I start having a real fight with Mark, we are going to be in a three-way fight for the win, because Alex Zeuuw will reap the benefit of that if we start slowing each other down. And maybe Braxock is just wanting Schluter to lap really quick, really consistently, just stay with him and make a bold move with a lap or two to go, rather than risk introducing Alex Zeuuw into the fight. And the other thing you're mentioning about saving tyres, I tell you what, you've got to be a genius to save tyres here, because you just can't go fast. Every critical corner here, Braxock is getting close. Every critical corner here for lap time just takes so much out of your tyres. So it's certainly a skill that I don't possess, to lap quickly here and look after rubber, because everything you do will just leak so much lap time. So yeah, we'll see. Oh, and now Alex Zeuuw's 2.1 seconds from Schluter.
It's coming down. This time round, 0.3 of a second was the gain, 3.5 on Braxock, and exactly 4 on Mark Schluter there by Alex Zeuuw. This is setting up to a grandstand 3-way fight for the win in the British Grand Prix of 2026 by the looks of things. Into the DRS for Braxock, and he's not able to get close enough on the way down towards Brooklands. It is hard to know which way this one's going to go, Owen, because apart from the fact that we've got 3 different drivers, and in a normal fight 3 different drivers in a fight for the lead, it's hard to predict anyway, but there's also different tyre lives, different strategies playing into this at the moment, which is making it very, very hard to predict.
Oh, of course, Ewan, yeah, we've had that first stint where, there's a little bit of a wide out of Copse there. So in the first stint we saw everybody equal for the first 12 laps, and then we saw the differentiation in tyre stints begin with Munier pitting very early. So Schluter preferred to go a little bit longer, and then Braxock himself was kind of in the middle. So the fact that he has tried to be aggressive in the middle stint to go for this victory has given him a little bit of hope. But Schluter with track position, that is certainly 9/10 of the law if possession and leading a Grand Prix are 2 similar situations to be in. So with another 8 laps to go thereabouts, lap 45, so it's getting very, very tight now. But Alex Zeuuw is still reeling in a few tenths every lap. He is very quick by himself in the middle sector. That's where he's gaining the most time. So that's where Zeuuw, with that little bit of gap, or a gap for himself, that's where he's benefiting the most. But Braxock, he's still biding his time. It's a little bit too early to go from back there yet again. That means the tension is just building. Schluter will know, with experience of winning this Grand Prix, how he's got to defend his lead. He knows this track very, very well. So whatever Braxock can summon late on, then Schluter, I'm sure, has a plan to try and counteract it. But he's happy enough in the lead at the minute. He's just doing everything he can, pushing very hard. Of course, is Braxock behind, but this time he took Copse nice and tidily.
Yeah, that previous lap, I think if Janos Braxock had drifted any wider outside Copse, he would have had to present his passport, I think.
Well, he's thankfully got on a bit better this time round. Well, the laps are winding down here. Looks like we're heading for a grandstand finish, and maybe here, David, the reason that Braxock is just biding his time is because he knows that a fight with Schluter right now would definitely allow Alex Zeuuw back into the fray. Now, he might get in anyway, the current championship leader. He might well get here in time anyway, but he does just increase the chances of keeping this down to a 2-horse race if he continues to trail the German in the way that he's doing at the moment.
And the lovely thing, the fascinating thing about it, and the competitive thing about it, is there are 3 drivers from absolutely 3 different groups. No sister teams. Schluter from Ground Effect, Braxock from Ottomale, and Alex Zeuuw from ALM MV, so the MV group. And in fact, top 4 different teams. So that sort of makes it a very, very honest fight. And that was something Mark Schluter was very proud of after Canada, because he was in amongst a squadron of guys from various sister teams from Optimale, and he was just very, very pleased to have won and prevailed against 3 or 4 drivers from the same group. So that's something he took a lot of pride in. The other edge that Schluter has had, he has got a fantastic engineer developing setups for him. What he lacks in driver numbers on circuit, he comes with a very well prepared car. Robin Pansar, I'll stop talking because there's an attack on.
This is his best chance. Go around the outside. Oh, that's close, and that is as close as it's been so far in my preferred.
Oh, he's gone! He's gone!
End. Can he catch it? Yes, he can. But
unbelievable. He's just got on that same curb that David Stefan got caught up on earlier and crashed out of this race. Braxock on the very same one. He went for it early, went for it with 6 laps to go, and he's gone surely out of contention for this race. Is that the one that settles Janis Braxock out of this race contention now? Schluter has got to be caught by Alex Zeuuw fair and square. There's going to be no fight that's going to bring him into this now. Has that given Mark Schluter the chance to go on and win here in the British Grand Prix? That could be the big moment in this race.
Most definitely. Beautiful defence by Schluter, just covered the apex at Stowe, which we touched on before. If you deny that attacking drive of the apex, you just can't go very quickly around that corner. And that's what caused Janos to come unstuck. So fabulous clean defence from Schluter, very effective.
That sausage curve, the triangle curve there that unsettled the O'Malley car and brought it down to third position. Thankfully he caught it though. If you had it gone a 270 degree, 360 degree spin, then yeah, it would have been a severe problem, and Pascal at full tilt would have probably been coming for him. But yeah, thankfully he could stop the car from going completely around, and he did recover very well.
Now at the top of the broadcast, I think I mentioned that I'm seeing in Mark Schluter a little bit of an increase in form, and I think he has stepped up to greet the challenge from Alex Zeuuw. And because the first 2 rounds of this championship, Zeuuw was incredibly dominant. He was winning races, and Mark Schluter had, after 2 rounds, hadn't achieved the podium. But from Bahrain onwards, Bahrain was where Schluter won his first man-on-man duel with Zeuuw. It wasn't for the win. Canada was the second time he won a man-on-man duel with Zeuuw, and that one was for the win. So I think psychologically, Mark Schluter knows he can beat Alex Zeuuw if he absolutely brings his A game. So it's psychologically, this round is a very important round in my view.
Yeah, I agree. It's that sort of part of the season, isn't it, where psychological damage can almost be done more than actual physical points damage, because at the end of tonight, pretty much anybody is going to be in mathematical contention for the championship. You're not going to be eliminating anybody in that sense, like you might in, round 8, round 9. But psychological damage can very much be done, and that can count for a lot. And as far as momentum is concerned, you mentioned at the start of the day, actually, David, about the momentum that Mark Schluter was on. I mean, it is just one race win that he's had, the Canadian Grand Prix last time out, and the time before that was, of course, his 11th place finish at Baku, which was not a good sign of momentum for him. But this would be 2 race wins in a row if he could get it, and he'd be able to get, 10 points only behind Alex Zeuuw in this championship. Now, he's got a big fight on in these final 4 laps to make that happen, but that would be sizable in that, psychological momentum, if you like, at this stage in the season.
Yeah, well, Schluter was doing pretty well in Baku. I think he was running 4th, but fell prey to the curbs at that incredibly narrow castle section and ended up in the narrow section of the track facing the wrong way, and did a bit of a James Bond stunt driving move, actually. He reversed up and around the corner, did brilliantly, but then when he tried to spin turn it, he just picked the wrong moment. He hadn't reversed far enough away off the racing line and actually collected Lucas Murno. So he finished 8 on the road despite that, and he was given a 4th-place penalty. So that's why it's saying 11th. It'll say 12th after it's been fully applied. But as I said to somebody, if I'm going to lose 4 places in a race, I'd rather lose those 4 places by penalty when I came 8th than when I won.
Yeah, well, indeed. When you're back there, when you're outside the top 5, each position is worth just the 1 point per position down there. So it is a big difference compared to if you were 1st to 5th, for example, which would be 13 points. It's a big difference. Gap less than a second for the first time. Alex Zeuuw is closing on Mark Schluter here, but there's only 3 laps to go here, Eoin. That is not much time at all, and I don't know whether it's difficulty in overtaking we've seen so far or just a reluctance to make overtakes, but they haven't been free-flowing, these overtakes, just yet.
No, I suppose Silverstone, it can bring all kinds of racing, but when it comes to pure tactics, then yeah, you've probably got only 1 chance to overtake and you have to time it. Poor Janos will certainly explain that perspective to us if he wishes to be interviewed, but what happens with Alex Zeuuw is that he can pick apart any driver on his day, but he's got to time it impeccably if he's going to stand any chance. He's not quite there yet. Krashok just hoping that something will happen in the final 3 laps. A sprint race in any sense of the word on your classic PS1 video games, for example. So Alex has to reset and go for it now. He's got the final opportunity to do it. 2 tenths away from DRS. That is the difference maker. That could give him more of an increase in the Champions League, because of course he's 8 points clear of Jan Grankis at the moment. But if he wins the race, and his lead will double pretty much to about 15 points. So a big swing of points could be coming either way. So Schluter will be -10 if things stay as they are. But it will be a big dramatic swing if Zeuuw can win the race at the last breath. But the lap traffic will make
got
a
a little bit of traffic. He's coming up to lap P11, Julian
Rimcevic, yeah.
And Julian, I hope, is going to do a good job of getting out of the way. Yes, he's done a reasonable job.
But Schluter has already lost the time that is going to put Alex Zeuuw into slipstream range, and Braxo, oh God, that was close. Braxo only just able to get round there, although he did lose in a couple of attempts himself. Now he's got to hope for a big fight on the penultimate lap here, so that he can get there in time for the final lap and a grandstand finish here between these three. But let's wait and see whether that is going to be the case or not. There you can see the look from behind, and there's the DRS flap open for the first time in ages for Alex Zeuuw. He's not been in this position for some time in the British Grand Prix here this afternoon. He's been trailing, he's been trying to catch for some time here, Eoin, but now he's finally here, and he's got a chance to go on and steal this race victory in the final laps.
Oh, motorsport can be so cruel, especially when things have been so impressive for Schluter all day long. Just one chance for Zeuuw. He needs to take it, and he needs to time it so perfectly that Schluter can't do anything about it. But you're hearing the FSR SimRacing World Championship. Zeuuw could put a dagger in the heart of the world champion if he can somehow win it by leading the very last lap after sitting in P3 for so long. The stint he's sitting, he's gone for the inside line, diving through. He's there.
He's got it on the penultimate lap of this race. Schluter's not out of it yet. He's looking to the inside of the final chicane. He can't get there. He slides a little bit through the first part. Jonas Braxok's going to close as they fight, but Alex Zeuuw might well just be able to take this now. He's beginning to storm away over the start-finish line. There's only one lap to go. And Mark Schluter here, who's led for some laps in the final stint of this race, has had the race lead taken away from him, coming towards the final lap here. Through the first sector they come. Can Schluter now get the exit that he requires? He's losing time all the time here, Eoin. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to get on terms.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Opportunity number one is gone. Zeuuw has it covered. It's going to take a supreme drive through the middle sector for Schluter to stand any chance. And that lap traffic may just be a little bit too far away to make a difference. Slapton just making sure he can't see the checkered flag and get himself some points for his trouble. But now, yeah, the gap is too big. Zeuuw has done it. The championship leader, he's almost there. Brashok is even coming as Schluter's tyres have surely collapsed in their performance window. So if anything, Schluter could lose 2 places at the end of the race. Zeuuw is too far away, Ewan. So here we go, just 4 corners to go.
Wow, what a symbolic race victory this could be for Alex Zeuuw. In terms of points, it's not going to gain him too much over his closest rivals, but after basically not leading all day, or through much of the day certainly, Alex Zeuuw has taken the race lead on the penultimate lap, and he wins the British Grand Prix in the Formula SimRacing World Championship of 2026. It's a penultimate lap pass for the championship leader, who extends his lead over Mark Schluter to 18 points by the end of the day, and over Jonas Braxok by that little bit more. Wow, what a great pass from Alex Zeuuw right at the end there, and what a symbolic victory. We were speaking about that, David, a few moments ago, about symbolic victories, about victories that on the points table aren't going to make much of a difference, but psychologically they certainly do, and this is one of those for Alex Zeuuw.
Yeah, incredible drive from Alex. I must say, I don't think Mark Schluter will be best pleased by the way that lapped car let him through. That car was 3 laps down and really cost Mark a couple of tenths, which was enough to really get Alex within DRS range. But I guess you guys will have a chat with him after that and see what he's got to say. I'm going to sign out now, guys. It's been a real pleasure, amazing race, and leave you with the rest of it.
Thanks very much, David O'Reilly, being with us over the course of the British Grand Prix here tonight in the Formula SimRacing World Championship. It's been a great race. Eoin, what a great race that was. Got a great pass, but as David said there, Schluter will be a little bit upset with that lap traffic. I mean, you can make the argument potentially, would it have made any difference? That argument can go back and forth, definitely. But That might be the one that he puts forward. And as you say, sometimes this game can be so cruel, can't it? Because he led that final stint of the race all the way until the two most important laps, being the last two, of course.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that is absolutely critical. Zeuuw, knowing that he had lost the Canadian Grand Prix in dramatic circumstances, I suppose he overtook Munier with the final chicane of the final lap as well. So we had that incredible drag race to the end, but Zeuuw picked up those vital points at Canada with that late overtake, and he's done it again to get his third win of the campaign. Leaves him the undisputed #1, so he can't be caught in terms of race wins for another 3 weekends at the very least. So that's devastating for Schluter. He would have been within 10 points, but now he finds himself down 18 points. It's still salvageable, but with difficult races to come, you can never predict Singapore or Brazil at the very end of the campaign. So yeah, goodness me, Alex Zeuuw has put a huge marker down for this championship, Eoin. That is huge.
That is absolutely huge. He wins the British Grand Prix. You can see the full race results here. He passes Mark Schluter at the very end there. Jonas Brakstok had a chance to win that race as well. Don't forget about his spin with about 5 laps to go there that put him back to third. Christian Pasquale gets a brilliant 4th place in front of Luc Meunier, who finishes in 5th. Lucas Murno, for the other Automale driver, finishing in 6th place in front of the 2 GE Invictus Motorsport drivers of Nando Marsa and Matt Tucson. I mean, Susi was the last driver on the lead lap with Juho Soponen 1 lap down there at the end in 10th place. Only one more driver will score points. Julian Ramsevich will get that for 3 laps down in the end. Saba Elikas, George Algianis, David Stefan and William Snowden all retired from that race. Let's chat to the race winner tonight, shall we? Alex Zeuuw, who joins us now. Alex, welcome in. Good to have you with us. I'd imagine you've only just finished celebrating a dramatic late pass to get past Mark Schluter with about 5 laps to go there as he saw Mark and Jonas having that fight for the lead amongst themselves. Did you ever think that you could get past them both and steal the race victory away tonight?
Oh. Wait, sorry. Hello, did I get moved?
Oh yeah, there you are. Hello.
Hello.
Oh yeah, hello. Sorry, I was just going straight to my mom to hug her.
Well, I was just saying, I bet you've only just finished celebrating because it was a dramatic late victory. I just asked, when Mark and Jonas were battling themselves with about sort of 5 or 6 laps to go, did you believe at that point that you could get past them both and win this race tonight?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When from like 40 onwards, when they were 3 seconds away from me, I noticed the pace difference, which was second to none. We had the same pace. I'm like, I'm not winning this. Maybe like P3 at best. And then Janos and Mark end up fighting like 10 laps later. Actually 5 laps later, and then I see Mark dropping a bit with his used tires because he did the undercut, of course. So I'm like, at this point, okay, I have a chance. I'm just gonna give it everything. I'm just gonna lock in, and lock in I did.
It's your 3rd victory of the season, but the first one since round 2, and it only gains you 4 points on Mark Schluter, who moves up to 2nd place in the championship. So your gap is now 18. That's a much bigger gap than before, but does this feel like a bit more of a sort of psychological win rather than a win in terms of actual points? Because 18 points is still quite close with 4 rounds to go, but just the momentum really feel like it's with you now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a big gap. It's a bigger gap than like 6 points around earlier, of course. But you cannot afford to drop the investment yet. Like chill. You still need to keep the nail pinned. Yeah, there were some unfortunate consequences this season as well. With the bit of luck, the Baku curb luck, which dropped me all the way to the back of grid, made me lose a few points here and there. Yeah, still a pretty solid batch of results at the end.
Yeah,
I'm pretty proud.
And one more thing before we let you go, Alex. Next round is at the Spa at the Belgian Grand Prix. It's in 3 weeks' time. How do you feel about going there for the next round?
Oh yeah, we are winning. 1, 2, 3, 4, domination. Pole by 5 tenths, win by 30 seconds. We are cooking.
Well, good luck with those targets for the next race. Thanks for chatting to us, Alex. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Thank you guys. Have a great evening and see you soon. Thank you for the stream and thank you for the podcast. Well, it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. Yeah, my bad.
Yes.
Oops.
Thanks very much. That
Bye-bye.
is Alex Zeuuw who wins tonight from the British Grand Prix. As I say, maybe a more psychological win, but as he points out, the 18 points is a whole lot bigger than the 8 that he had at the start of the day. We'll just hang around for a moment to see whether Mark Schluter or Jonas Brakstok join us, but imagine, Eoin, they'll be feeling very, very different to how Alex is feeling at the end of that race. I mean, we talk about one side of the equation, the elation that Alex will be feeling at the moment, having gotten that race victory in such dramatic circumstances, but there'll be some real soul searching for Mark and Jonas, I would imagine, in the next few weeks, because that's a pretty damaging points loss for them, it feels.
Oh, it really is, yeah. That is just such a tough way to be beaten. Nothing Mark honestly could have done about it, so he just had to do his very best. Unfortunately, Alex picked him off at just the right time. He followed that strategy very well. He got that DRS with 3 to go, peaking at just the right time. But yeah, I have to feel very sorry to both our podium finishers behind Alex today. Janos, so unlucky with his attempt at Stowe. Wasn't successful on the outside. So for Janos and Mark, yeah, my commiserations, but hopefully they'll be back and ready to go next time.
Well, we've been chatting. They've both got themselves in the waiting room, so let's give them a quick word before we leave you tonight. Mark Schluter, first of all, who finished it in second tonight. Mark, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Commiserations on a second place finish tonight at Silverstone. Just how are you feeling at the end of that race, having been passed for the win right at the very end there?
Just speechless and no words. No words.
I mean, how big of a moment do you think this could be in terms of your season here? After all, it's only a 4-point loss, but I'd imagine it feels like a lot more than that right now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's 19 points now instead of 11, which are 8 points difference from what it should have been. So, yeah, really frustrating. And yeah, we should have. We did the strategy perfectly, undercut at the right time, and would have deserved the win. It's a bit of a shame with Janos having that spin. I think otherwise this would have never happened anyway. But yeah, I guess that's just racing.
Well, indeed. I mean, just talk us quickly before we let you go about that battle with Jonas as well, because as you say, that this race would have been a whole lot different had it been the two of you fighting out for the win rather than Alex catching up to you. Just what was that fight with Jonas like as well?
Yeah, had a bit of flashbacks from last year, but a bit of an easier one since he was on the same tire and not on 10 laps fresher softs. But yeah, I think it would have been a great fight. It's just the same. I think the dirty air out of Stowe caught him out and he spun. Bit unfortunate, but yeah. It is what it is.
Well, commiserations, as I say, Mark, on second place here tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end of the race as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much. That is Mark Schluter, who finishes in second place here tonight. As I say, that 4-point loss feeling like a lot bigger of a loss right now. Jonas Brakstok also finishing on the podium tonight. Jonas, welcome in, and commiserations as well on a third place finish. Do you feel as well as that this is a race that you could and maybe should have won here tonight at Silverstone as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think this was the most disappointing podium finish I ever had in FSR, in my FSR campaign basically. Yeah, we did everything right in strategy-wise. Some embarrassing moments I had with the MB guys that Alex was a sleeping dog actually. Yeah, I didn't expect it that he could win the race, but yeah, I had the real chance for the win, but yeah, Mark was really good and Alex as well, so congratulations to him, yeah, to them. And yeah, Mark was really good at the exits and had tons of push to pass, and yeah, he could easily eliminate my attacks, but it is what it is. Yeah, I saved some points, but yeah, I feel a bit disappointed.
What do you think it means for the championship now, given you're 24 points behind Alex Zeuuw rather than whatever it was, 17 it was at the start of the day with 4 rounds to go? What do you think this means for the rest of your season? Are you still counting yourself as a championship contender?
Yeah, maybe. It will be a tough one from now on because yeah, some favorable tracks coming up for us. Yeah, Silverstone was always my one of the most favorite ones. Yeah, we will try our best, but yeah, it's gonna be a really tough one and really intense. And yeah, basically this race was really intense and really quality one. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I get another win, maybe a 1 or 2. But yeah, I'm looking forward to continue.
All right, well, we'll see you in a few weeks at Spa. Thanks for chatting to us, Jonas, and congratulations on a podium finish tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much. That is Jonas Rfactor. There is 13th ever podium finish, I should say, in the Formula SimRacing World Championship. As he mentions there, perhaps is most disappointing. All three of the drivers on the podium we're just speaking to there, Eoin, all believe, well, I'll say believe is maybe a strong word, but all thought they could have won that race. And I guess that is true, and it's one of the remarkable things about that race. There were three really legitimate contenders, and for a while, Loic Meunier was a fourth as well in that a remarkably close and open race. They're really reflecting the sort of open season that we're having as well.
Of course, yeah, it is fantastic to see so many contenders for the win each and every week, and that does bring a whole new element to FSR and the World Championship. But of course, yeah, the feelings of our second and third place drivers, they'll be absolutely devastated heading into a brand new week. So knowing that the win was there for them, I know Mark said it, he could have defended from Janos if there was no spin or anything like that. So it is devastating how tight these things are. But yeah, if Schluter can come back and win the Belgian Grand Prix, Zeuuw would be under pressure to finish P2 in every single race to guarantee the title. He is that smidge ahead. If he were to finish second to Schluter in every race to the end, then he would just about eke towards the title. But that is the dilemma now for Zeuuw when he has that lead, that he's been able to pick up crucial points in the last two rounds. How does he perform towards the end of the season? Does he go all out for the wins, or can he calculate his route to the title by finishing on the podium to the very end? So we'll wait and see how this swing affects the Belgian Grand Prix.
Well, we certainly will. It will be with you in 3 weeks' time for that next round of the championship, the Belgian Grand Prix, on the 12th of July. That will be live, same time, same place, here on the Formula SimRacing YouTube channel. A little bit earlier in the day, the Pro Championship will be underway as well. So make sure you join us for those two broadcasts on the 12th of July. For now, I've been Eoin O'Leary alongside Darren Harmon here in the commentary box. David O'Reilly joining us as well. And until we see you in Belgium on the 12th of July for the next round of the Formula SimRacing World Championship in 2026, it's goodbye for now.